Awesome. It is recording. Very good. Hello, everybody. Good evening to all of you online. Good evening to all of you here in person with us. We are super happy to be able to give this presentation on sleep and dreams. You know, it's something that we all talk so much about. We all want to understand a little bit better, and we all have doubts. So first question to the audience here: who actually remember their dream this morning? Remember? No? Who actually ever remember their dreams? Okay. So, there are so many dreams, so many dreams. Guys, you can actually write in the chat, okay? You cannot talk, but you can write in the chat. Let me mute everyone so we don't want to have any type of problem, like a Tarcísio with his super sound system coming in difficult. But so we have so many different. Oh, I just talked about him. We have so many different types of dreams. But I will talk through the presentation, but I'm just actually curious. So is anyone here had intelligent dreams? Intelligent dreams in the sense that you actually understood what happened. It's not something totally crazy and wild, like an elephant flying, There are all kinds of dreams. Let me just change a little bit of the layout so the recording will be nicer. Very good. So let's start. So if you have questions throughout the presentation for myself or for Noah, you can hold on your questions, and in the end we are going to answer. So just for you to know, we are going to have more or less 40 minutes of my piece. Then we are going to have 15 minutes of Noah's piece. So, and in the end, we will have questions and answers, and it will be great to be able to answer all of you. And so let me put it back to because it doesn't really make such a big difference. But I actually put like spotlight. Okay. Very good. So just to start, as we always start, I would like to invite our friend Shemaine. She's going to be doing a reading and then a prayer so we can all connect with the enlightened beings. So Shemaine, please.
Thank you, Angie. Good evening, friends here and online. I am lucky to be the one introducing these interesting, knowledgeable, intelligent, amazing friends here that are going to speak to us. But Angie gave me the opportunity to read from The Happy Life. So I picked a passage that I liked. There's many of them, but here we are. So be wise, invest in your future. What is happening to you now is the result of a past that you can do nothing about. But what is to come depends on what you do starting today. While you reap the effects of past actions, your present actions have future consequences. As you sow, so you shall reap. You are destined for goodness. How to get there is your choice through quick or delayed action and setbacks. Suffering is not inevitable. It is the result of a wrong choice. Invest in tomorrow, and you will be happy beginning today. I like that, right? I think it's fitting, and considering all we learn here, I liked it more. So, speaking of I'm doing a prayer first. I apologize. I was ready to introduce our friends. So let's all take a breath. Gina, welcome. And like Angie always kindly reminds us, take a breath from the busy day, rushing traffic, and be glad and grateful that we're together here and begin. Dear God, thank you for having us here today, all together with our wonderful friends and family and sisters and brothers in person and online. We are fortunate and thankful to arrive here every Tuesday for learning and sharing and to be a part of this Spiritist Center that Angy and many of our friends here tonight give their time and love and knowledge to all of us weekly. We are really grateful this evening to have a special presentation and want to thank you, God, for continuing to enlighten us and our good spirits that are near, or please do come near to us this evening and help us be present and focused where we are and with what we're learning this evening. We thank you also in advance as we're going to have some food and beverages together this evening. And so be it. On to Miss Angela Stewart, a Brazilian lawyer who specialized in international business and finance at New York University, then anti-money laundering by the University of Manchester in the UK. Angela was a co-founder and president of Inner Enlightenment Spiritist Society in New York City for 10 years. And then in 2017, she moved to Miami, becoming a practitioner at Conscious Living, and is now a co-founder and president of our own MIA InnerLight. Mr. Noam Alperin, I hope I pronounced it correctly, a medical physicist who graduated from the University of Chicago. Noam works at U of M now, and he is professor of radiology and biomedical engineering. As if there could be more. He lives in Coral Gables. He is a scientist with a very conscious mind. And I always personally love that what we're learning so much from Angy is interesting and enlightening to all of us, maybe more to me than many of you that were more aware than me, but to have Noam's influence as well from a scientific mind, my goodness, I am anxious to hear this evening. So thank you.
Thank you. Very good. So we have Noah here today. So I always say it's exciting to have you here, my friend, because you ask the questions that we all want to hear. So it's always interesting. My friends, I'm changing back to your pretty little faces because I think on the phone you actually have two screens. So I love to see your online faces. It's very good to know that we have a lot of friends here, but we have so many friends online from different states. And I really appreciate your presence. So we don't have much time. I will jump in pretty quickly. So we are going to talk really quickly about dreams because there are so many types of dreams. That's very difficult. So I chose 3 types. They are the most common types. And we can talk a little bit. And in the end, if you have questions, then we are going to address those. So let's start with this very, very interesting experiment. So this was done in Harvard, and it's called the Harvard Deprivation Experiment. So groups of mice were deprived of these 3 elements: water, food, and sleep, but in different ways. So for example, the one that was deprived of water could eat and could sleep. The ones that couldn't eat, they could drink and they could sleep. The last one could sleep but could not drink or eat. Which of the 3 you thought start deteriorating faster? Noah, you cannot talk. They sleep, exactly. But we always think it's water because we die really quickly without water. But what the scientists discovered that our physical body dies without water, but our mind dies faster without sleep. Because what they said is the mice start becoming extremely aggressive, really cannibalizing others, even if they were being fed. They were not hungry. They were eating, but they start getting so crazy without the possibility of sleep. They start killing the other mice. So this was just for us to have a glimpse of how important is sleep. And we don't think about that, especially when we're young. Me, going back the whole night dancing, 6 o'clock in the morning, having brunch, and then going straight to my office. And yeah, drinking a lot of coffee and thinking I'm producing very good. And like, I'm really good. I'm good. When you do this once in a blue moon, very good. But if you start doing this a lot, or worse, if you don't even go out for parties, you are not in a party mood, you are trying to sleep and you cannot. And when this becomes a pattern, this is also an epidemic in America. That's another research that I found out. Not just depression. Yes, depression is really terrible, but the pharmaceutical drugs for sleep are really something you cannot imagine, the number of people that are affected. So we start like Michael Jackson. You take a medication to sleep, then you have to take a medication to be awake, then you take a medication to depression, then you take a... When you see, you are taking so many different prescriptions, and some of them interfere in other prescriptions. And it's a very funny thing also that I discover that the roots of lots of our problems are in our food intake. Food intake. If we are able to change what we eat, we improve so much faster. I'm talking about myself. I was diagnosed with extremely high blood pressure a few months ago. And the type of blood pressure that really kills us, because we don't feel anything. I didn't feel at all. I was like, woohoo! And the doctors and nurses are like, are you okay? And they look at me like with the eye of death. And I'm good. What about you? I'm okay. And then I'm like, uh-oh. I'm starting not to feel that good. Anyway, so I left it there and I had to go to another doctor to get prescription for high blood pressure. And then the doctor didn't really tell me a lot, just said, do you eat a lot of salt? And I said, no. Okay, must be genetics. And I'm like, yeah, my mother and father, they both have high blood pressure. But I had low blood pressure my whole life. And then for a few years, I started eating, and I thought I was eating good because I even eat a lot of vegetables. But I started eating a lot of frozen food. You know, the fantastic Trader Joe's, BJ's, Costco, whatever. They are delicious. But if you start paying attention of the intake of sodium, you will realize what I'm talking about. I can't stand medication. I'm the worst person ever with medication and doctors. Oh my God, I'm so bad. So I decided to try something natural. Yes, I got the prescription, wasn't helping, was not helping. And then I called the doctor and the doctor said, we need to change prescriptions. And I'm like, okay. And I really decided to quit all my delicious dinners and I started cooking. You are not going to believe, in 1 month, I have a blood pressure of 12/8 in Brazil. Here is 120/80, what is actually low. And my doctor's like, that's not normal. So it's just a little thing to think about health in general. And doing this research, this is also connected to sleep. So you have to really do a self-analysis. What are you eating? Of course, there are so many other things that we will talk about, but this is the first one that we should think about. And now let's talk about science. Yes, because I had to interfere in no one's presentation. No, I'm joking. It is important for us to have a little bit of scientific background because Spiritism embraces science. We do not go against it. We embrace, and we have to try to work together. So these beautiful minds here, they were the first people who actually really study and research science. So we have Freud, and Freud said, Dreams are wish fulfillments. When wishes can't be fulfilled in our awake state, they are carried out in dreams, disguised or distorted. Even punishing dreams have roots there. So these are his words. So in Spiritism, we do not agree with it. But I wanted to understand that he was the first person who started thinking about. He started like, there is something that we have to explore. But when he mentions that they are dreams fulfillments, that's a little bit strange when we start thinking about an elephant flying, or when we dream with our grandmother coming and really talking to us, and sometimes telling us, I know tomorrow you have to go to that appointment, but be careful, you are going to meet someone that's not very friendly. And this happens. So it can be a dream fulfillment. So then the next scientist is Jung. So he did like a little bit, how can I say, he explored a little bit more. So he comes saying that the dreams are psychic's attempt to communicate important things to the individual. It is the unconscious talking to the conscious mind. So this is already a better approach. This is something that's more, it's closer to the spiritist point of view. And let's continue analyzing science. So when we talk about dreams, the scientific studies, they look into the how. So all the science wants to know about our physical body. Is their job to understand the physical machine, how it works. So they look into sleep patterns, brain activity, and the very famous REM, the rapid eye movement, and many other things. There is even the machines that connect to your head. You have to pass 24 hours using that. That's lots of things they study. And then in Spiritism is a different perspective. We actually look into what. That's what is important for us. Not how, but what. So we look into what was the activity that you were doing before you went to sleep. And then we also see what were the actions during this dream. Exactly like I mentioned, the grandmother that came and gave you a message that actually happened. Or what was the outcome of it? So the grandmother came and told you, be careful, you're going to meet someone that is dangerous. What did you do when you were in a dangerous situation? Remember that what your grandmother mentioned, or you ignored, or you what happened? So this is what the Spiritism tries to understand. And there are many nuances of this because there are so many different types of dreams. So the first thing is, how do we go to sleep? This is extremely important. That's what I was saying. We don't think about it. We just, like when we are exhausted, we lay down and then we just collapse. And here in the Spiritism Center, we even mention a lot of people, they have issues, they have problems, they have physical diseases or mental or spiritual, and they ask for a spiritist treatment, not a treatment, but a therapy. We offer it, but one of the requests is that this person needs to learn how this person is going to go to sleep in order to receive a better treatment. So this is a research for the National Library of Medicine. So they mentioned that 1/3 of our lives are spent sleeping or attempting to do so. And then these are the items. And watching TV is the most common of all. So 80% of people go to sleep watching TV. Some doctors specialized in sleep, they actually mention that we should be forbidden to have TV in our bedrooms, because not just of what is showing on the TV, but because of the light, the super bright light. If you want to make your mind to be tired, how that super bright light is going to help you out? Yeah, some people don't have TVs in their bedrooms, but then they are on the screen of their phones. it's good that the phones now they have the automatic feature that the light can be a little bit lower. But, you know, so the other things are watching a violent movie. You know, I'm not talking about horror movies, terror movies. I'm talking about news. There was another shooting yesterday, I think, in Texas. If you look international news, not even just in the US, there are horrific news every single moment. So my mother, I was talking to her a few minutes ago, she was even saying that someone sent on WhatsApp a video of a little baby being beaten up by a person that's babysitting this baby. And this is like a horrific thing. You see a 2-year-old saying, please, please don't do it. And you can't do anything. So this is like something that will be imprinted in your conscience. And when you go to sleep, what could happen? Many things. But it could happen that you are transported to a similar situation. And there is nothing to do with you, but your mind brought you to that situation. And then it becomes a nightmare. It's not a dream, it's a nightmare. It's something that is very negative. So these are one of the things that we should try to avoid. We should try to think about. Do I want to sleep well? So these are the things that we should try to do. We should try to read a book, listen to some good music, do some kind of meditation, to be positive in prayer. In Spiritism, everything is prayer. We are praying all the time. We are praying people. And, you know, we're not praying for sense, but we're praying to God, to the energy, to something good. Pray for yourself. Pray for some energy, if you don't believe in God, to some energy help you to behave better, to be a more positive person, to help you to have a good night's sleep. Because this is what we need to have a better day. Never happened to you guys when you have a horrible night's sleep. The next day you are very cranky. And most of the people, they realize, they say, you are so different today, Angy. Yes, my sleep pattern was really messed up last night. So these are things that we have to observe in ourselves. We have always to say, know thyself. We need to understand our behavior, our actions, so we can improve from them. So you don't want to be this. That's what you're going to do. So look at this poor guy. He was connected with lower energy, lower vibrations, lower thoughts, meaning negative thing. But when you elevate your vibration, you're better connected, then this is how you can disconnect from something negative and sleep. So this is very basic for Spiritism. So in Spiritism, we know that we are spirits. Spirits is light. We are light. But we are incarnated at this moment, and we have a beautiful body, hopefully. We have a body. And what connects this light to the body in the spiritual realm is what we call perispirit. So this is why when this body is destroyed upon our death, when we appear to someone or in a dream or in a materialization, if you guys are medium or not, you will see how this person is going to show to you because of the perispirit. So the perispirit keeps the form of our last reincarnation. There are many details about this, but this is the basic thing to understand. So every day we experience death and resurrection. Yes, we go to sleep every single night, but we wake up. Woof, we wake up. And we always say the people that study about spirituality, not just Spiritism, but many different philosophies connected to spirituality, you learn there is life after the physical body. And this helps us when we cross over, because we already know there is life there. So we are not going to be surprised. And this is what we call the silver cord. Is really a cord that comes out from the top of our head, from our chakra, that is right here, and connects us to our physical body. So when we go to sleep, this perispirit or our spirit travels all over the place. And I have to say that I travel a lot. Because many times, a lot of people say, Angy, I dreamed of you. Angy, I dreamed of you. I'm like, my goodness, I don't stop even in the spiritual realm. I'm all over the place. I must have a lot of gags, a lot of me's, a lot of everything. So the body sleeps, the spirits wakes up. So the spirits remain close to the body or travels far away, depending on us. If we don't believe in life after death, for example, when we wake up in the spirit, we are so afraid of leaving our body because we think, I might disappear, I might die. So we stay really close. So these are the type of dreams that you always dream, that you're in the bedroom, you are in the house, you are really close. But the other dreams, when you travel, is that you are more open. So we start trying to think about it. There is something called lucid dreams, where people learn how to travel in sleep, and they actually know they are sleeping. So this is very much connected to your faith, your spiritual knowledge. In this beautiful book, that's also a movie, it's called Astral City in English. The spirit of André Luiz talks to another spirit. This book, this movie, they died. So my husband always say, well, spiritist movies are very strange because everything starts with a tragedy. I'm like, yes. Because if we're not dead, how can we talk about spirituality? Someone has to die to wake up in the other side, and then the whole plot of the soap opera, like John likes to say, happens. So in this little part, so André Luiz's spirit talked to Narcissa spirit, but it's a spirit that has a higher knowledge. And it's very, very funny. I don't think there is this part in this movie, but it's in the book. So André Luiz, he goes to Narcissa and said, Narcissa, we are under attack. There are some creatures outside who has these huge white things coming out of their heads, and I don't know what to do. So obviously, she started laughing because these were incarnated people. They were not dead. They were incarnated, and they were traveling during their sleep to help others. And the famous medium, Chico Xavier, Brazilian famous medium, was one of the spirits that used to go in these excursions to help in the spiritual realm. So in the Spirits book, that's the book that we study here every Tuesday, there are many questions that talk about dreams. So I took a few of them just for us to have an idea. So we dream every day. Some dreams are really for the soul to understand, not for the body to remember. So these are that type of dreams that we dreamed a lot. We know we dream. As soon as we open the eyes, I was dreaming. What did I dream? You don't remember. You don't remember. But that message will be imprinted with you, within you, and at the correct moment, it will come. It happens to me a lot too. Sometimes I am doing something that has nothing to do, and suddenly I'm like, oh, I just remember my dream. This happened because of a reason. And then in question 401, during sleep, does the soul rest like the body? No, the spirit is very active. So this is what happens every night. You are in your bedroom, but your spirit, not necessarily. Now, what about the nightmare? So the nightmares are our negative thoughts, vibrations, that they can attract us to lower areas where spiritual enemies can torment us. So we can be attracted to places that are not good, or these spirits, they can connect with us and they come to us and they connect because we are in the same vibration. So when we are watching a terror movie, my son recently was explaining the difference between terror and horror. For me, they are similar, but they are not. So terror movies, these really craziness, this horrible things, and they usually show spirits always like a bunch of devils with horns. And guys, if I die, I'm not going to develop horns and become a monster. I will be Angy at the third potence. I don't even know. Terceiro cubo. I will be me. I will not change into some horrific thing. Maybe I will be even more hyper, but I will still be me. We're not going to become like this. But of course, because we are always afraid of the unknown, if I die and suddenly I appear here and say, hey guys, everybody will be running out for sure. There is a ghost there. No, there is just Angy. Angy appeared to say hello to you guys. So we have to be careful with our thoughts. Like sometimes we have horrible fights. We encounter someone that we really dislike, and we start thinking about, oh, I should have said that. I should have done that. And you start creating the animosity worse than what it is. So remember the slide before. We have to pray. God, please help me to disconnect from this. Help me to have a good night's sleep. Help me to feel better. John, can you make the air a little bit warm, because now it's freezing. I see a lot of people like really having a hard time here. I'm good. I'm hot, but I see a lot of people really cold. So what about the good dreams? We need to have a prayer, meditation, so we can attract these good spirits, and we can be brought to good places. So this will help us out. And you know, this is what we want. If we are having also a pattern of nightmares every day, sometimes it happens that it start happening the same bad dream. Is this a wake-up call? We have to understand, what are we doing or not doing that is making us to have this happening all the time? So in question 402, by dreams, the spirit remembers past or foresees future. So past lives or future happenings when permitted. This is one of the types of the dreams, very similar to the one that I just mentioned, the grandmother, but it can also happen for us to foresee our past lives. I have dreamed with so many of my reincarnations. I saw so many. So for you to say, but how do I know this is my reincarnation, or if this is my imagination? We dream a lot. We remember some dreams. But when you have a dream that is so intense that you wake up and you remember and you smell things, and you have that sensation that you were in a place, you talk to that person, and that person that maybe doesn't look like you, but you felt like it was you. This is one of those type of dreams. I'm not talking about the elephant flying. This is another thing. But when it's something that you wake up and you're like, my goodness, that was very intense. Yes, because that was really you being brought to one of your past reincarnations, for example, to help you to understand. Sometimes we have problems we don't even understand, but we are brought to the past to see, look what you did. You caused this. That's why now you are having to face consequences of some things that we did. So there are so many things that I would like to talk, but the time flies. So the other one is the confusion. So most people don't remember the dream. They just retain fragments, pieces, and memories, and they are all mixed up. This is a very, very common type of dream. Very, very common. You know, you have your busy life, your stressful life, so you dream with pieces of things. So this doesn't really have like an importance for spiritism, because this is really your busy life being imprinted in your turbulent sleep. So in spiritism, we really talk about the very, very negative dreams that we have to understand why. What are you doing or not doing to be brought to some kind of very negative situation? I have a person that used to tell me that didn't want to sleep. And this was like something that was discovered through a psychologist. So this person went to a psychologist to help with different problems. And then through the psychologist, this person realized that he was not dreaming, he was not sleeping, because almost every night when he went to sleep, he met this monster and he was running, and every night he woke up and went back to bed but couldn't sleep. So it was like escape. And it's more or less how we are. When we lay down, our spirit goes away, flying around, searching for certain things. And depending how our energy is, we connect. We are here now, we have lots of friends, but we also have people that we don't like. And sometimes we don't even know. We never really had a connection with that person, but when the person arrives, you're like, oh my God. It could be someone from your past life that you don't understand. The person even tried to be nice to you, and you're like, I don't know. It could be a connection from a previous life. So in question 411, can the spirit know the time of its death? This is something that a lot of people ask. A lot of people ask this. Sometimes there is awareness of it, giving an intuition about it. We have many, many examples throughout the history. This is the super common one, Abraham Lincoln. The day before he died, 2 days before he died, he actually told his wife that he had a very weird dream. So he tells her that he was in this location. There was a lot of people, a lot of commotion, and he started going through the people. And then he sees someone on the floor, and then he asks a soldier, he said, what happened? And then they tell him, they killed the president. And zoom, he woke up. He was the president. But at that moment, he really didn't worry much about it. But he told his wife, and later on, she documented it. And 2 days later, he was killed. So what happened? He had a dream that showed him what was going to happen. So, and we have this kind of revelation dreams. It does not mean that if you dream that you're going to die, you're going to die. It could happen also that someone is so afraid of dying, they are so extremely neurotic about it, they end up dreaming with it a lot. And it doesn't happen, but they are afraid of it. So, but the real one could happen. So this is what happened to him, April 14, 1865. So these are the very common dreams. This is the physiological dream. Everyone as a child had this. I had so many. I remember having very, very deep dreams that I was actually walking the corridor, going to the bathroom, sitting down, and suddenly I feel very warm. And then I open my eyes and I remember my mother will kill me. And yes, kids have this, a lot of this. So these are the physiological dreams. But the psychological dreams, these are the ones that I was talking about that can be brought to a horror movie, or like your stress with something that you feel that someone is taking advantage of you. So you end up dreaming, and in the dream you see this person plotting against you, and you wake up, you're like, oh my God, that person is plotting against me. Not necessarily. It can be your mind playing tricks on you. So that's why it's so important for us to pray to have a good dream, or to have a dream that we actually can foresee things, not just our tricky imagination thinking things that are actually not true. And when we are connected with our enemies from the spiritual realm, we can also be brought to situations that are not true, but they can make us to see that. So we wake up afraid of that person or that situation. For example, you just got a job offer that seems really positive. Your spiritual enemies, they want to disgrace. So they will say, will be the worst job ever. Your boss will really be a monster. So you dream that will be a horrible situation for you. And then you're like, I'm not going to take that job. We should never act like this. anytime we are going to have to make a decision, a very important decision, we should practice meditation, prayer, talk, make a research, really foresee what would it be good for me, pros and cons. Every situation in life, there are pros and cons, and we have to weigh this. And the spiritual dream. So this is I just described this memory that is so extremely intense that you're like, this was happening. I will tell quickly one of my 1,000 dreams. My boyfriend had died a few years ago, like 2 years. He died when he was 23 in a motorcycle accident. And it was very difficult for me. It was very painful. And, okay, it passed. We tried. And one day I sleep, and I remember waking up and seeing, opening my eyes, I'm dreaming. I don't know I'm dreaming, but I was dreaming. And I see this white curtains, like a movie, these very romantic movies. So these white curtains, and I'm laying, and like it's wind is beautiful. I see flowers, and then the curtains open, and he's there, and I'm like, what happiness! I was like, oh my goodness, I was in heaven. And then I remember we were talking, and I told him, but wait a minute, you died. And he's like, I died for you, but I am pretty much awake. I'm pretty much alive here. Imagine this. He was 23. I was 18. This is a long time ago. I was not spiritist. I didn't even understand anything about spirituality. I really knew that I died and I was going to leave, but I really had that Catholic concept that I'm a good person, so I should go to heaven, but I really didn't think I was that good, so I thought I was going to go to the purgatory, and I was not really horrible to go to hell. So I was like thinking I would go to the middle point. And then I remember lots of things happening, and my mother opens the door. Angel! So I wake up, and I remember telling my mother, why did you wake me up? And I'm like, oh, this is so horrible. I couldn't ask so many things. And then I remember laying down and praying, God, please bring me back. Please bring me back. Please, 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 pretty please. And he said, I knew you would go. I knew you were going to come back. That was so powerful. I never forgot. I never dreamed with him anymore. But this was like really like, whew, if I could, I would dream with him every night. But no. God was like, no, Angela, that's it. So this is another very, very interesting thing of dreams that you can foresee the future. So Dante Alighieri, the Divine Comedy, so important. So the story is that Dante wrote many books, but the final book he wrote, but nobody knew that he wrote. So they thought he hadn't finished because he had been working on this book throughout his disease. He was extremely sick in the end of his life. And because there were a lot of people trying to steal his job, there were a lot of plots, politics. So he hid it. So he wrote the Inferno, the Purgatory, and the Paradise, the best of all the books, was nowhere to be found. And then one day, his son had a dream with him. And in the dream, Dante tells him his name, the name of his son is Jacopo. Jacopo, you have to go to my office. You will open a closet. You will find drawers. You will open the last drawer. We'll have a fake bottom. You open the fake bottom and you will find, it's so amazing. The description has so many details. And Dante even told him, do not go there alone. You have to bring a testimony because nobody's going to believe it was me. They're going to say you did it. Anyway, Jacopo did that, and he actually found the paradise. So these are just few examples. There are many throughout history. So I already mentioned before, but how to remember my dream. So this is a little summary. So lay down, reflecting how was your day. Do not turn on the TV or the cell phone. Be thankful for your life. Do a prayer and ask for the blessing of remembering. Julio is the one that says that, oh, I never ever dream. And I remember through one of our classes a long time ago, I told Julio, saying, Julio, if you do this, 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 and this, you will remember. But then we're like, okay. But then the next day, Julio wrote in the chat, I cannot believe, but I remember my dream. And then he said, oh, but now I don't want to remember anymore. So it is possible. We just have a busy life and we do not pay attention. So now I just want to quickly put our friend presentation here. So no one can pick up and start his piece. So you can use your...
Cadê a coberta preta? Cadê a coberta preta, amor?
Uh-oh, we have
a colcha preta.
Not on mute.
Sumiu a colcha preta.
Olha, a calça preta. Sophia, everybody knows what you're doing with black pants. Okay, Noah, it's all yours.
How do I advance the slides?
Just press this button.
This one, okay. Hi, guys.
Hi.
We need a break after our presentation. You know, it's really great opportunity to talk to you like this. You are beautiful people, and I really want to understand more about your way of looking into things. I'm not going to convince you that there is only one way to look at things, but it will be great if you will be exposed to a scientific way of doing things. I'm a scientist and I was taught how to be a scientist. So this is my philosophy of how to look at things. And talking about sleep, it's really a good start. First of all, Angy did something very, very important. Sleep, I mean, you found something that is so fundamental. Sleep is requirement for healthy brain. And what happened when in this generation, recent generation, with all the development and stuff like that, people lost the hygiene of sleep. Like they taught us how to brush our teeth. We have to install in ourselves.
No, I just tried to look. Oh, you cannot see it, but they are looking through the camera.
Okay, okay. So we'll talk about it later, but think about sleep like you brush your teeth. There is hygiene of sleep. And Angy mentioned all these things. One important thing that people realize is you have to try to go to bed and wake up at the same time. And it will help your being access the sleep very well. So I'm going to talk about sleep and dreams. I don't think I will talk much about dreams today, but it's important to talk about sleep before dreams from a scientific perspective. So what is common for Kermit the Frog and a scientist?
They like the color green.
Sorry?
They like the color green.
It's not being easy. It's not easy being either.
Oh.
Why? Because, again, the point is that different people have different perspective of things. And if science doesn't build the way to communicate with different perspectives, people will not understand you. And on the other hand, scientists will not understand the spiritualism. So we have an opportunity here to do something important, to find a way for the two to exist together. Another thing that is common to science and to spiritualism is the truth. We are seeking the truth. And that's part of the process of being a scientist. You want to know exactly how things work because this is the truth for you. So the basics of science is very simple. It's kind of, there is a, like where you have a cake, you have to follow the, what do you call it, the recipe, the same way. So you have to propose an hypothesis. We take an example here. My hypothesis is that Angy prefer men with blue eyes over brown. How do I do that scientifically? I have to design an experiment to prove it or to reject it, because I don't know the result of the experiment until I don't run it. So one experiment is to take 100 pictures of people with blue eyes and brown eyes, and every time show her, by the way, I should never tell her about this experiment because this will bias things. And then show her and tell her, what do you prefer? And then count later. She picked 50 because I showed her 100, and every time she picked one, I will count how many blue eyes she picked and how many brown eyes she picked. If she picked 50 blue eyes, it's a great proof. If she picked 25 and 25, then I cannot say that she preferred. But it's also very important to think about the design of the experiment. For example, can I take somebody with blue eyes that is tall and somebody with brown eyes that is short and ask her what she likes? Is it a good idea? No, because we don't know if that would influence her selection. So how would you design that it will be unbiased? We call it confounding factors. Things that we have not thought about it that can bias our experiment and lead us to the wrong results. Anybody have an idea how to remove all the other confounding factors? If the smile, if it is bold or not bold, how to resolve this?
Just the eyes.
That's a good solution, not bad solution. But
Make them all the same except the eyes.
excellent. That's a perfect one. Because then there is no confounding. You can join my lab.
Teacher said.
Because then there is no other factors that could have influenced it. Then it's very simple. I count how many she found, I do some statistical analysis, and I can either confirm the hypothesis or not. So can we do the same with spiritualism? I don't know yet. Maybe we have to adjust it with a different way of being things about it. So the next thing that so now you kind of understand that a scientist has a way of thinking. He believes in something if he can do an experiment to prove it to himself or not. Here is the first problem for me. I cannot talk about sleep if I don't tell you a little bit about the brain. Everybody knows that this is a brain image of an MRI. Everybody recognize this? Look, it took millions and millions of years to develop this machine that we call brain. I don't know, call it machine, but it has three parts. The old one, which is the yellow, the middle one, which is the blue, and the pink one, which is the new. And this organization is very important because the old one takes care of vital functions, breathing. What's another vital function?
Sleep.
Sleep. And the new one is the thing that the modern men and humans are doing, thinking, executing decisions. Should I go and visit Angy tomorrow or after tomorrow? That's cortex. So from evolution point of view, the old brain is in the center, was the first there, and then the new brain grew and grew, and it took millions of years to get to where we are being here. And why it's important? Because the brain is a result of a very long evolution. So it's a very mature and polished machine. Now, how does this brain control the sleep? So we know that the centers that control sleep are in the, what part of the brain? The old brain. By the way, this is the most protected part of the brain. And if sometimes when there is accident, if this part of the brain is being pushed down because of the pressure, that's how most people expire because of injury. Oops. So this is the old part of the brain, and there are centers in this old part that send signals to the new part to keep it awake. So the brain is working to make you awake. The area within the midbrain sends signals to stimulate the cortex, the new brain, so that you are active, you can think, and so forth. What is sleep? If you inhibit this signal, the brain falls asleep. So there is a circadian cycle in the brain that is affected by light, by noise, that in order to inhibit these signals, we want to suppress it so that the brain can go to sleep. So that's very important. So the drugs, for example, that are helping people to sleep is trying to suppress the activity. And of course, they have side effects. And that's exactly a point that if we can manage without drugs, it's the best. But sometimes we need drugs and we should take them because it's so important. Why sleep is important? The brain burns a lot of energy relatively to the, it's only a small part of all the organs, but it takes 20% of the blood flow to keep it. And we know that if we burn something to get energy, there is waste product. That during sleep, that's when the brain cleans itself. That's basically my research part. What is the mechanism by which sleep gets rid of the waste product? Because if it doesn't get rid of the waste product, it's stuck in the tissue of the brain, the cells start to die, and we end up with an Alzheimer patient. You will see what it looks like. So basically, from my point of view, I think the most important part is that during sleep, and I will tell you later on that there is different parts of different phases of sleep, it's not uniform. We dream only in one phase, and you will see that, and I will mention to you why sometimes we remember, why sometimes we less remember. So there is a mechanical part, running the washing machine, and there is a cognitive part. We acquired so much information during the day that the brain will get crazy if we do not organize it, because we're kind of filling the memory capacity and we have to put it in a place that it will be easier for us to access it. If we learn something for a test, we want to put it in a place that later we will be able to pull it from there. So the organization occurs during sleep. That's why during sleep, we inhibit, we kind of tell the body, don't bother the brain, it's very busy right now. Some of the disorder of sleep is some people act out of what they dream. That's a problem because the disassociation between what the brain is doing and the body, the area in the brain that tell you to move the hand, should not move the hand if you sleep well because it's disconnected. So the two parts is the mechanical part, which is the washing machine. I will show what I mean by that and why I call it washing machine, and the cognitive part. By the way, a good number to remember is if you can get between 7 and 8 hours of sleep every day, your brain will thank you. So there are 4 stages of sleep. We don't just fall asleep in one shot. There is a light sleep first, there is a deep sleep, and there is the REM, rapid eye movement. That's the area where the dreams are occurred. So I mentioned that it's important for the getting rid of the waste product. By the way, the order is not we go first to N1, N2, N3, and REM and so forth. It can be out of order. But we can start with light, go to deep, go to REM, back to deep, back to REM, back to light, and so forth. So, by the way, we remember the most of the dreams if we wait when we are in the REM phase, because we are connected to the center that controls the memory. I will show it to you. So, too bad the animation is not working. Oops. But this is the animation. This is the MRI machine that I showed you before, pictures that you take the anatomy, can also take the motion of the fluid that surrounds the brain. The brain is protected by this fluid, but this fluid clears the waste product, helps the blood circulation, and what you should see is that with every cardiac cycle, this is the picture of velocity. So if the velocity is y, this fluid is going down from the brain to the spinal canal and going back. So basically remove the waste product, and unfortunately it's not showing very well. As a scientist, I wanted to prove that some people are good sleepers, some people are bad sleepers. I wanted to see what happened in the brain. This part of the brain, it's called the hippocampus, is the center of the communication of the memory. It decides what part of the brain, what things will. When this part breaks down, we have Alzheimer. We have somebody that don't remember your name, don't remember that he saw you a minute ago, even though you remember things that occurred many, many years ago. So all this organization of the memory is totally screwed up. Look what happened. This is the hippocampus of a person, elderly, somebody about elderly 65 plus. And this is a bad sleeper and a good sleeper. And the red is the difference between the images that we took between 2 years, baseline and 2 years. Look, only from this slice, look how much brain is missing. So this is a proof that if you don't sleep well, you lose brain tissue 2.5 times, we calculated, 2.5 times faster. You age faster, and you have a higher chance of getting dementia.
Let's sleep.
We're going from year 3. I don't need to say anything more. This is an MRI. The white is a fluid that I told you. You see that as we get older, we have less brain, more fluid, because we lose this tissue. Why some people age better than others? First of all, because they control the rate of losing tissue, so their brain is younger, relatively speaking. And they take care and go to sleep at night Okay. Sleep well and keep your brain healthy and young. So I will stop here, or I have more time?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't prepare much about the dreams, but I think I will give you a very nice presentation of how the Jewish religious look at dreams. And there is some similarities between what Angy mentioned and what the Jewish tradition mentioned about dreams. So we have a lot of dreams in the Bible, right? What type of dreams are mostly in the Bible? For example, you remember the dream that the king of Egypt?
Yeah, the prophecies, the cows.
The cows, exactly.
Yeah.
So those are dreams that predict the future. It's like Lincoln have those. In the Jewish tradition, sometimes people dream dreams, very bad dreams, and then they will go to the rabbi and say, I should really prepare this. But what's interesting is that they would say, usually if you want to repent, you fast, that you put yourself to fast. And they go to the rabbi and say, we are fasting because we want to make sure that what we dream about will not happen. And usually the rabbi will say, you don't have to worry about this. So there are tools in the Jewish tradition how to interact or to change the response of the person for different type of sleeps. So I will prepare and show you some more slides about the. So first of all, I have to do two things. I have to tell you from scientific point of view, what are the roles of the dreams and why different type of dreams have a different role from cognitive part. And then in the tradition, how you try to counter interact with the sleep, how you try to kind of maintain if it's a bad sleep, how to deal with it if it's a good sleep, and so a dream, I know. Okay, that's what I have to say. Any questions?
So yes, so now we are going to open up for questions and answers. Let me just put everybody here. So my online friends, you are all able to ask your questions. If you have questions, unmute yourself, and then me and Noah, we can answer. You can address the question to whom you would like to ask. The same thing here. So while our online friends meditate about their questions, if you guys would like to ask anything, feel free. So ask. Yes, Gina?
I would like to know, Noah, how does alcohol affect alcohol and of course drugs? I'm interested in both alcohol and benzodiazepines, and that how does that affect the quality of the sleep, and long term, what does it do to your brain if you're drinking a little bit of wine every night?
So just, can you guys just confirm you heard the question? Did you hear the question? So Gina was just asking, how does the alcohol affect the sleep,
Quality of
the
sleep
quality
and
of the
dreams,
sleep?
the REM sleep.
Loud and clear.
It's a good idea not to eat and not to drink an hour or 2 hours before you go to sleep. You want to kind of not divert the blood flow. You want the brain to get the blood flow so that the physiological circadian clock will work fine. If you interfere with that, it may affect, may delay. There is a secretion of different hormones that go up and go down, and it can interfere with it. But if you take 1 or 2 glasses, it will not be substantial. It will not really affect to the point that it will make any difference.
And according to the Spiritist point of view, anytime that we use a substance that will affect our normal life, doesn't need to be alcohol, but it can be drugs. So when we, like, let's imagine someone that really drank everything possible. It's not the 1 or 2 glasses, but it's like 20 bottles. So that person is in a different state of mind. Is not the normal state of mind. So when this person finally goes to sleep after vomiting everything, then what happened? We know this type of behavior attracts negativity, negative energy. Even like the organism of this person is malfunctioning because of excess. And then when this person goes to sleep, is attracted to areas that are not really positive. That's why a lot of people who go to sleep after being inebriated, or they don't remember anything, they go like in a coma, like if I can say that, a sleep coma, or they always dream they were being chased and that something horrible is happening. So usually that's what happens. So this is the Spiritist point of view of this type of question. So I see here Tarcísio wants to ask a question. So Tarcísio, unmute yourself and then ask your question.
I would like to know which one is the worst for the person. The person that have so many difficulties to fall asleep, or someone that fall asleep easily but wake up in the 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning. Which one is the worst for the health?
It's a very good question. People that take them a long time to fall asleep, it's not good. Why? Because sometimes we wake up during the night. And if it takes us a long time, the overall time that we sleep is less. So if you wake up and you fall asleep very quickly, then you're in a better shape. And what I mentioned, I forgot to mention here, that in order for the washing machine to work at the most efficient cycle, we need to go into the N4, the N3, the deep sleep phase. And that's usually take from 30 minutes to an hour until we get to this point. So normally, toward the end of the night or in the early morning, we have the most healthier sleep, which is the deep sleep and the REM sleep. So we cover both the cognition organization of the memory and the washing machine part.
I ask you.
Wait, guys, we have a lot of questions here. I come back to you guys. Hannah?
So it's like sometimes you go to sleep like in a very like early and you fall asleep really quick, but then you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you cannot fall asleep until 5, 6, and then you have to wake up again. So you feel so tired.
There is a simple solution. Go to sleep at the same time.
Yeah, but if you do this and then you wake up suddenly, I don't know, because
No, if you go to sleep, let's say at 11 or at 10,
Every night.
if you go much earlier, you will wake up at 3 o'clock. But if you go later, then you will wake up at 5, 6 o'clock.
but also the hormones can affect that.
That you have a good match between your behavioral sleep, your sleep hygiene, and the circadian cycle. Because the circadian cycle have this level of hormones that changes signal that I show you, the pathway. They change they build up during the day, they get to the point there is a lot of sleep pressure, and that we get a good night's sleep because these signals that inhibit the awake and bring you to the sleep phase are more dominant.
Just one thing that in the Spiritism, we analyze this point, and what happened when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning? What do you do at 3 o'clock in the morning? You just woke up. So you do nothing. You just like,
You don't go to
please
watch
God
TV.
help me to sleep. Basically, that's what you do. So this is like a frustrating activity because you turn, you move, and you are hoping you will fall asleep. But we should really take an active way of helping us to sleep. Again, Spiritism, we talk about the prayer to connect with our guardian angel, an active prayer. Dear guardian angel, can you help me to find a solution? You can also have a book right next to you with something positive that like a lot of people don't read anymore. In the past, we used all reading. We were all readers. The activity that we did when we went to sleep was actually reading a book and going to sleep, because when we are reading, our brain starts focusing on that, and then little by little we start getting asleep, and boom. But nowadays what happened? Or we don't do anything, or we go on social media, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and whatever, videos, and then you active your brain. That's like what Noah said. We should do activities to make the brain relax, not to make the brain more hyper. So this is one thing. So we have many questions here. Do you guys have another question here before I go back here? No? Good. So another question here. Okay. Araceli.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, what happens when we go to bed early, go to sleep, and you feel like if you are sleeping, but at the same time when you wake up, you are so tired, and it's a wait a minute, but I feel like I sleep. Why am I so tired?
So no, and before answering, just repeat the question because they can't hear her question.
Sometimes people feel that they had a good night's sleep, but they wake up tired. So maybe you thought that you slept, but you had a lot of, a very important problem that you have to deal with. It's called sleep apnea. The breathing is very important. And sometimes we stop, usually overweight is not a good idea. It's making the air, because the muscles become relaxed, because we don't want, if we dream that we run away, we don't want our legs to take us to the street. And also the muscles that keep the airways, they relax. And if we are obese, they will collapse, really wake up, because the brain doesn't get oxygen. So I think it's a good idea to go to a clinician. And there is today, in the past, you would go and you would do a sleep study at the hospital, you sleep overnight, they will connect you to different things and will measure what happened. And will tell you, you're waking, normally, if you wake up to 5 times an hour, you're in a good shape. But some people wake 60, 70, so they never get to the point where they have the deep sleep and the REM sleep. That's the phases that will make you feel refreshed in the morning. So people have to tell you what patterns is your sleep.
So João had the other question.
If you sleep 4 hours, but you fine 4 hours. Sometimes I sleep 3 hours and I'm fine. It doesn't bother me. So actually one day I couldn't sleep at all, couldn't close my eyes. The next day I was fine. I went in 30 miles bike. So my question is that also a problem, or is just like because my brain also is like not working normal? Or?
Your brain is dirty, Joel. It's very dirty.
No, they're doing, just in the last year, they did a lot of experiment where they measured the level of these toxins, of the waste, the metabolic waste products that we produce during the day, and they saw that people that are deprived even one night, this level go to 50% increase above normal. The toxins in the fluid around the brain goes up. That means that we are not able to remove the toxins from the brain system, because if it's stuck in the system, it can go back to the brain instead of going to the blood and then remove through the liver, through the kidneys, and so forth. And I was just in a conference in the beginning, and this question came up: what Should everybody sleep 7 to 8? Somebody, we don't know. We don't know. You may be a lucky guy, but
It's like during the days, you can close my eye for 2 minutes. And I can stay another 12 hours awake and no problem.
so
I don't
you
have
feel like
access to the sleep.
so you don't have sleepiness during the day.
I do get tired, but like it's like if I close my eye for 5 minutes, I don't need sleep. I just need to close my eyes for 5 minutes.
So usually sleepiness is a sign of sleep, insomnia, we call it lack of sleep. But if you think that, you know, a very simple trick is to do a cognitive test, to do a cognitive task of memory, and you can do it on the TV or on the computer, and then compare between days that you think that you slept well and days that you slept. So every day you sleep 3-4 hours? You never sleep more?
Probably like 5 6 days a week.
And other days that you sleep longer?
Yeah, sometimes I never do 8 hours.
7 hours?
It's 6, 7 maximum.
6, 7 is good. 6, 7 is the thing that
But it's like
Normally,
one time a week.
we don't know. We don't know, but there is a way. So bad sleep affects our ability to concentrate, our ability to our memory, a lot of the cognitive tasks. So there are tests to test it and see if it can impact you or not. You can do that. Or you can come to my lab, I can measure your hippocampus and see if it's normal or not.
So I am very conscious of our time. It's 8:28, so 2 minutes we need to finish. I saw Elizabeth here ask the question. Elizabeth, do you want to ask a question really quickly? No, and try to summarize.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, are you still here? You're on mute.
I will start with the summary. There is something-
Elizabeth, you're on mute. You don't know how to unmute. So, Julio, you can ask your question. That's the last question. We
okay.
can't go through so much more. Can you talk louder?
So I understood that we sleep is a kind of wash machine that we need for our, and maybe to organize our thoughts, the things that we had in the day.
Cognitive part and mechanical part.
Exactly. One thing that for me is not clear is why, when we sleep, we have the dreams that we can see these images, why our brain create this, and where these images are created in our brain.
So I will tell you something very interesting.
Uh-huh.
The visual system, it's in the, you don't have the picture of the brain, I will show you where all the vision part is in the back part. If you imagine that you see a picture, the brain actually builds this picture, so it will be active. So for the brain, it's a picture. That's why when you, maybe I didn't understand your question.
Why, when we are sleeping, first we need to create this image. Why these images are created?
The image is created because there is a lot of information, a lot of images that you saw during the day, and they need to be reorganized and put in the right things. There are critical things, there are areas that will keep them, the information about critical things and be stored in one place. Things that maybe are not important, you will not remember them because there is no capacity to remember everything every day. Some people have this, you probably remember people that can remember, look at one page in the phone book and remember it and so forth. Their brain is totally organized in a different way. That's why they can do that. But for most of us, we don't have this capacity, so we have to, the brain has to make the decision what to keep, what not to keep, how accessible this information will be, and so forth. So the entire brain is working in the REM, and if you look at the electrical activity of the brain, this is the part where the electrical activity is the highest, because it's as if we are awake, but we are disconnected from our body. So it's interesting that you can say that we are awake, it's the spirit that is awake and our body is not awake. But what's hard for me, I showed you what the brain looks like, and it took so long to develop this wonderful machine. So how the spirits can communicate with us if they don't have a brain? So this is the part that is hard for me to implement the way that I think, because for me right now to generate these words that the brain is doing a lot of things to do that. So if I don't have this brain, because this brain is already in the sand, who is doing it? What kind of wonderful entities doing it? Hopefully we will get them.
That's our spirit. My friends, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Noah.
Sure.
It's really an interesting subject, so we can be here for hours and hours and hours, but I'm functioning. So thank you. It was really great to have all you here. I hope you enjoyed. If you have more questions, you can submit it to myself personally, and then I can send it to Noah, and then he can answer, and then I share it in the chat. So just one more thing before we close here. Noah was mentioning spiritualism. Just to clarify, spiritualism is the big umbrella. There are many different philosophies that follow spiritualism, and spiritism is one of them. So it's just like we are a little tiny portion of this many different philosophies. So the big umbrella is spiritualism, just this. So now we are gonna close here. I'm gonna do a prayer to finalize this, and then we are gonna go into passes. That's what Spiritism does. We do basically is Reiki, the transfer of energy to anyone that wants. If you want, we will invite you just to sit there. We transfer the good vibrations. Then there is a little cup with water that we call blast water. So the good vibrations were put in the water, and no one knows as water is the element that metamorphoses in the easiest way possible. So if you pray to the water, the molecules, if you could analyze under the microscope, are beautiful. If you curse the water, will be ugly. So we are in a protected environment with a lot of love, so the water will be beautiful and will be a good medication for our physical bodies. So thank you so much, my friends, and let's all relax for one moment, close our eyes, let's elevate our thoughts to God, to the good spirits, our guardian angels that are here inspiring all of us. And at this moment, we would like to ask the enlightened spirits to come close to the past givers, so we will be able to transfer this love, these positive vibrations to every single person here at this moment, to all our friends that are online, that listen to this beautiful talk, so they can also have all the negative energies removed from their physical bodies, and they can have these good vibrations be power upon them, and they can feel much better now than before. And we also ask the enlightened spirits to guide all of us and help all of us to have a beautiful night's sleep, so we will be able to reflect in every single thing we heard tonight, and hopefully we will have a positive dream, and we will comment about it tomorrow in our chat. So thank you so much, and so be it. So my friends, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. I will stop recording now, and I really hope to see you